Welcome to the Business of Therapy podcast, where we're ditching the blank slate mentality and giving therapists full permission to show up authentically online and chase their dream six-figure private practice. I'm your host, Kelly McKenna, licensed therapist, business coach, and content creator. I have made it my personal mission to help other therapists make a boatload of money and do it while working with clients they love and without sacrificing their work-life balance. I've been through the very same journey that you're on now. After ditching burnout, starting my own private practice, earning $250,000 my very first year, and scaling way beyond that, I'm here to give you all the behind the scenes. And in this podcast, I'm holding nothing back. You'll hear all the specific strategies, wins, failures, and lessons learned to help you build your very own six-figure private practice and see that the business of therapy can truly be a lucrative one. Let's do this! When I first started my private practice, I was so overwhelmed by the idea of going in-network with insurance. I had no idea where to start with all the paperwork and was terrified by all the horror stories of late payments. I found Alma and they made the process so easy. Alma handled all of the paperwork from eligibility checks to claim submissions and got me credentialed with major insurance payers in less than 45 days. And the best part? They have enhanced reimbursement rates and guaranteed payment within 2 weeks of each session. Visit helloalma.com/Kelly to learn more. That's helloalma.com/Kelly to get started. Alrighty, my friends, let's get into it. So in today's episode, we are going to talk about how to film better B-roll. Now, just to sort of set the stage, in case you're not familiar what B-roll is, it's basically the reels that you see all over your Instagram page where the video is somebody doing something random and there is some text on top, right? So you're not lip syncing, you're not talking directly to the camera, you're not even like acting out a skit or anything. It could be as simple as you drinking a coffee, journaling in your notebook, going for a walk, just some sort of video of you with text on top. And these types of reels are one of my favorite types of pieces of content because they are so easy to create, but they are really effective. And what makes them effective is sort of twofold. I think a lot of people know the text that goes on top is important because it's your opportunity to speak to your ideal client, to really make them feel seen or heard or called out or validated or helped in some way. And that is super important. And that is a lot of what I work with therapists on inside of the Reels membership with the prompts every week. But something that is often overlooked, especially by therapists, is the actual visuals behind the video, right? Instagram is a visual first platform, and the video that you put, it can be simple and it can be easy, and it should be, but it also is going to have an impact on how well your reels do, right? It is going to determine if people stop scrolling, if it catches their attention, it sets the tone and vibe of your page, and it really helps to sort of build connection, right? So something I definitely don't recommend is doing a lot of faceless B-roll. That might go viral if you have a video of your coffee or a pretty, aesthetic view on vacation or something, but having your face is what builds connection, which is what's going to get you therapy clients. So I think that is really important. So in today's episode, I'm going to share a lot of tips for actually how to film better B-roll. Again, keep in mind, this is B-roll with your face, and then we're going to put, text on top. You can think of your own ideas. You can do that with the Reels membership, what have you. But today we're really focusing on the actual meat and potatoes of the video itself. All right, so let's go rapid fire through these. First up, make sure that your camera lens is clean. Clean your camera lens. You don't have to buy any cleaner for it. You could wipe it with your shirt, but that is super, super important, especially if you are a woman and you wear makeup. Even just in general, holding your phone up to your face, the skin oil gets on it, your fingerprints get on it. Wiping your camera before you film has a drastic impact on the quality of your video. A lot of people will tell you to film with the back-facing camera, meaning that you're not using the selfie mode. You can test it for yourself. There is definitely a big difference in the camera quality. For me personally, I just use the front-facing camera 99% of the time. I've not been able to get the hang of keeping myself in frame without the selfie view. And so that's okay. But if you really want to step it up, using the back-facing camera is good. If not, you can use these tips here and you will do just fine. Lighting is really, really, really important. So my favorite thing to do is to use natural light. right? And with lighting, you want the light source to be in front of you. You want it to be illuminating your face. If the light is behind you, it's going to cause a lot of shadows. So if you're standing outside, you want the sun in your face. If you are in your office or in your home, you want the window in front of you. So usually I will just set up my tripod in front of the window, or I have one of those like sticky things on the back of my phone. I'll actually put my phone on the window, and that is like enough natural lighting, and it works really well. If not, you can always use a ring light or a little like clip-on phone light as well to kind of create additional light in front of your face. But lighting is super, super important, especially if you don't get a lot of natural light in your office or your home or wherever you're filming. You want to make sure to use a ring light or something. I also will go ahead and link a few of my favorite content creation tools in the show notes here. Again, you really don't need anything fancy, but I get asked these questions a lot. So I will share my tripod, ring light, the phone clip light, that kind of thing. Okay, so those are kind of like the basics of actually filming. Then we also want to make sure that you have movement, right? So visual hooks are just as important as the text that you are using on screen. And those first 1 to 3 seconds matter. So you want to have a visual that is sort of like bringing people in, right? So if you are doing something like sipping coffee in your B roll, maybe you want to step into frame, or you want to stir the cup right away, or you want to actually pour the coffee, but you want to do something that is going to be intriguing to people and that is going to cause movement, right? You don't want to just sit there with your coffee cup and like stare off into the distance. Maybe you want to pick up the coffee cup, right? But we want to have movement in that shot. Now, I'm going to share a bunch of links in the show notes as well of B-rolls that I've done that have performed exceptionally well and that were really easy to do just in terms of like visual hooks. So I did one reel where I was tying my shoe and like putting my shoe on for a workout class. And the text on screen read, "Say what you want about oldest daughters, but my perfectionism, hyperindependence, and fear of failure has gotten me pretty far." And that is like a very good text on screen. But something that was visually captivating for people is I was sitting on the ground, I was putting my shoe on, and I kind of like chopped it up so that way there was movement in the reel the entire time. Another example is was kind of like a silly dance, and it had strobe light effects. So that was like a twofold visual hook. I had myself moving, and then I had an effect that was captivating as well. And the opening line was the things other therapists have said to me when they discover I charge $275 per session, right? And then I had each of the following clips were other clips of me like dancing with the strobe light and sharing what things have said. And so I think that these are just like two examples of it doesn't need to be anything over the top. It doesn't need to be complicated. Both of these were really, really fast to film and fast to edit. But by having movement and making it visually interesting, they did really well, right? I did more than just like phoning it in and standing there kind of like smiling with my B-roll. Okay, another great tip is to change your outfit when you are batch filming content. I am a big fan of batching my content for the week. I find that it is just really nice to get it all done and to know that I don't need to worry about it for several days again, and that my content is ready and it is good to go. Especially as a new mom, you never know what's going to come up. And so just knowing that the marketing for my business is taken care of is really nice. But that doesn't mean that just because I'm filming everything in like a 2-hour period, that I'm going to like wear the same clothes the entire time, right? So I'll get ready and then I will I actually grab different outfits for both accounts, which maybe is a little unnecessary, but usually I'm batching like 10 pieces of content at a time. So I will grab like 7 to 10 different shirts and I will just change my shirt for each video, right? It is fast. It is something that takes an extra, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes by the time that I grab the shirts. I change during them and I hang them up afterwards. But it is going to make such a big difference. You want your content to feel fresh. You want it to feel new. And when you're wearing the same clothes in every single one of your reels, people think like, oh, I already saw this. I'm going to go ahead and scroll, right? Or if they're looking at your page, it's just very apparent that you're batching your content and that doesn't feel native. It doesn't feel natural. It doesn't feel personal or off the cuff. And so changing your outfit between shots is really, really helpful. You don't need to have like fancy clothes or be super aesthetic. Whatever you would wear with your clients in session is totally fine. You'll see in like 90% of my reels, I'm just wearing like a plain t-shirt in different colors. I don't have a ton of like personal style, which is totally fine, but you want to change it up so it feels just different. Did you know I have a totally free 1-hour training that thousands of therapists just like you have attended, where I'll teach you how to market and grow your private practice on Instagram? Sign up at the link in the show notes. I'm sharing how I earned $250,000 my first year in private practice with private pay clients from Instagram, and how you can do it too. Learning to showcase your expertise and market your private practice on social media will help you increase your income, reduce your caseload, and help thousands of people with their mental health online. Head to the show notes and register now. The other thing you really want to change up is your location. So again, like these are all sort of visual hooks and things that are captivating people. So I oftentimes will film in my office. I'll film in my kitchen. Occasionally I'll film in my bedroom, but I try and just mix it up and do like different areas in my home. Maybe I'll film it from different angles. So sometimes in my office, I'm sitting on the couch and I have the camera right in front of me. Sometimes I'm kind of turned and you can see the bookshelf behind me. Sometimes I'm sitting at my desk, right? And it just sort of makes it visually interesting and appealing for people instead of it always being the same thing, right? So try different areas of your home, try different corners of your office. If you live in a city where you drive a car, your car is a great one as like a place to film. You know, I know filming in public can be challenging. I personally don't film like a ton of reels in public, but that's always like a nice background too if you are up for it. Okay, another tip is to show versus tell. I think oftentimes as therapists, we have gotten the message to niche down. And I am somebody who preaches that all the time. So I hope that you have learned how important it is to have a niche by now. But we don't want to always have to say our niche in everything, because sometimes when we explicitly feel the need to say it and to articulate it, it just becomes like overkill, right? So you don't need to say in every reel, POV, you're an anxious mom of little kids and blah, 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 right? Like maybe we could show some of that. Right? So maybe you could show that you're a mom by having your kid in the photo or in the frame. Maybe you could show you're a mom of little kids by holding a bottle or by washing a bottle or by filming in the nursery or by filming in the playpen, right? There are all these ways that we can subtly tell people, I am like you, look, without needing to say it, right? So like maybe you are somebody who works with creatives. Is there a corner of your home or corner of your office that really shows that, right? Like, are there parts that fit your vibe? Is there jewelry that you might wear or a way you do your hair or clothes that you might select that really tell people that you are creative, that you are like part of the same community as them? LGBTQ folks, right? Are there ways in your personal style that you can sort of showcase that? Can you have, you know, maybe like a pride flag behind you or on a shirt or something? Like, are there ways that you can show that to people without needing to say it in every single piece of content? So it's not to say like we never want to particularly address people. We certainly do. But I think that it is helpful to think about like other ways that you can show. Music is also like a great one, right? For different age groups, like you can show music that fits their vibe, that fits their season, right? And so I want you to kind of think about, are there ways that you can show versus tell? You know, as somebody whose content speaks to therapists, oftentimes I will film like by my bookshelf. I'll film on like my little therapy couch in my office, and I try and visually show this is a therapist's vibe. You also want to show your vibe in your content, right? So maybe you are somebody who's really somatic in your work. Maybe some of your B-roll is doing like deep breathing exercises or yoga poses or something like that. Maybe you're an EMDR therapist and some of your B-roll is going to be setting up the light bar or something in your office. Maybe you're somebody who jokes around with clients in session. I personally kind of bring like that humorous vibe to sessions and to my page. And so I'm going to link 2 examples here in the show notes, but I did one where I was like kind of spitting out my coffee and it did really well. So the text on screen said therapists realizing that their peers are earning 200 plus per session while they're getting paid $45 an hour in community mental health. I've done this same reel with that same text on top and caption probably 5 or 6 times. But Like, it always has done well, but I was kind of like, "Oh, I feel like I keep on repeating this. Like, how can I make this better?" And so instead, I really brought the energy with the B-roll. So I'm like kind of looking at my computer, I spit out my coffee, and then I like grab my phone and start like recording a reel, right? Kind of showing people visually, oh my gosh, you're shocked that other therapists are doing this, and now you're ready to put in the work and go on Instagram, right? So like that idea came to me of I was on a walk with my dog Josie, and I was just like thinking about the content I had to film when I got home. And originally I was just gonna like stir my coffee for this B-roll was what I had in my little content plan. And I was like, I feel like I could do something better. Right. And so I kept on like thinking about it while I was on this walk and came up with this idea. And it hit so well. It performed amazing. Like 4,000 likes, 160 comments. It did super, super well. Another one that did really well was I had a video where I'm like walking down the hallway in my home and I have a Fresca in like a wine glass and sunglasses on my face. And the text on screen says, "Oldest daughter's off to plan everyone's life, solve everyone's problem, and wonder why she's always stressed." And I'm walking down the hallway, I'm strutting, and I kind of flip my hair. Simple, right? But I brought attitude. I wasn't just like, again, sitting there stirring a coffee. I brought a feeling to it that made people say, like, oh, this is so me. It made them laugh a little bit. Both of these two, I filmed and then I like played with them in edits and dragged them into like a reduced speed. So they were both slow mo. That could be another really good sort of like visual hook to make something feel interesting. You could slow speed down or you could speed it up. And that just kind of brings like another element to your video. Again, like connecting over a shared experience is also really helpful, right? So, your style, if that is something that is important to you, your home, if you like to travel, if you like to go to concerts, the type of coffee that you drink, if you're a mom, like all of this stuff shapes how people view you. And so, if there are things that you are okay with self disclosing to your audience, think about how you can incorporate them into your B roll, right? Like before I had my son Aiden, Josie was like a supporting character in so much of my content. I should bring her back. But I was oftentimes filming with Josie. I would like sit on the floor and pet her. I would have her like jump up on the couch. I would take her for a walk. And people got to know Josie and would ask me about her. And like, you know, my clients love Josie. They would see her like in session on the couch behind me oftentimes. And so that felt like a totally okay self disclosure, but it allowed people to get to know me a little bit better. It brought them into my world. You know, a lot of people are dog people. And so finding little ways that you can connect is really, really helpful. Don't always do the same thing, right? So, like, I think we can fall into this habit of just knowing, like, okay, my B rolls are going to be stirring my coffee, opening a journal, and like walking towards the camera, right? And those are all fine B rolls, but we don't want every single one on your page to do that. We want to mix it up. Another great tip is to scroll for inspiration, not just for the content that you are going to post, but for the B roll that captures your attention, right? So I want you to take 5 minutes after watching this episode and scroll and really don't even read what people are saying on their video. Just scroll and find what videos captivate you from a B roll perspective, right? So if somebody's talking, skip it. If they're doing a little skit, skip it. We're not even paying attention to the message of the content. I just want you to look at stuff that people are filming and DM yourself any that you like, right? These can be simple, easy things, but having something to emulate of, oh, I really liked the way that she brought the phone into the car and buckled herself and turned around to start driving, right? Or I really liked the way that she sat on the table and opened her laptop and moved her hair out of her face, right? But like look and see what are examples of videos that capture your attention? Again, these are quick 7-second videos. They don't take a long time to film, but just having an idea of like, where can I incorporate a little more movement to create that visual hook can be really good. And so you can DM those to yourself. You can add them to a notes app in your phone, but have some ideas of like visuals that you enjoy that you could then recreate for your B-roll and do that with your own audio, your own hook. We're not copying their video, right? But we are using that as an example and filming inspiration. Okay. And then lastly for this segment, and then we're going to talk about text and like camera settings as well, is to have fun with it, right? So I want you to be animated with your face, right? You are acting. This is part of content creation. And so you should not just have like a totally flat affect. You should bring a little juice, right? So smile or like look confused or look angry or look pensive or, look really grounded. Like it can fit your vibe and it should match how you show up in session. It should match like the text that's on screen, right? So I wouldn't put like really serious text on screen and be like overly like laughing in my video, right? We want the two to match in terms of vibe, but be animated with it and put in effort. Like I think that this is an area where it can feel like almost embarrassing sometimes when you're newer to content creation to be seen like putting in effort, but it is super important. It is going to impact your results a lot. Okay, let's talk about camera quality and upload quality. Okay, so I'm going to share the settings that my camera is on. So for video, it's on 4K at 60 frames per second. And that is really good. If you have the storage to be able to do that, amazing. If not, you could also do 4K at 30 frames per second. I personally buy the extra iCloud storage just because I record a lot and that is helpful for me. You want to also make sure that when you are editing your videos, if you are editing them outside of the Instagram app, that you are exporting your videos in the same quality that you are filming them. So let me repeat that again. Let's say that you're editing your videos in Edits, or you're editing your videos in CapCut, you want to make sure that your camera settings match the settings that you are exporting in, right? So because I film in 4K at 60 frames per second, I'm going to export my videos in 4K at 60 frames per second, right? If you're doing 1080 at 120 frames per second, you want to export your videos in that same match, right? Also in Edits, you want to export in SDR, not HDR. And I also have on my phone HDR videos like turned off in my camera settings as well. You want to also avoid compressing your video multiple times, right? So for instance, if you like film a video and then you put it into Edits to edit the video, you don't want to like download it once you've clipped it and then re-upload it again and then download it once you add your text and then re-upload it again and then download it once you add captions and then re-upload it again. We only want to export it once because when you export the video, the app that you are editing in is going to compress it and make it smaller and lose its quality a little bit intentionally so that way it can be posted to Instagram. And so if we are constantly uploading and editing, you're just decreasing the video every single time, right? So upload it once, make your changes, you can come back to it, you can revisit it, but keep on making your changes and then download it one time. Then when you go into Instagram, you want to make sure that when you are going to post, you can click advanced settings and that the upload at highest quality is turned on, right? If you do this, your videos will be much crisper. They're going to perform better because again, Instagram is a visual platform. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about is the text on your screen. We want to make sure that it is easy for people to read, right? We don't want people to have to work hard to read it. And so there's a few things that are really important with this. One, your font choice. I think that the classic font choice is really nice. I personally use this most of the time. I'll do it white with the black outline around it to make it easy to read. If that is still hard to read, I will then use the literature text and have the text box behind it, right? Instagram can add this in for you. I'll usually do white text box behind it or a black text box behind it, right? And that is like typically if I have something going on in the background that makes it hard to just read the font. Another thing you can do is you can turn down the exposure on your video, which will make it darker, right? Sometimes that can create like a nice little aesthetic vibe, and that can make the text easier to read if there's not enough contrast between like the video and the text. You really should be mindful of like where you're going to put the text when you're filming, right? So just think about that like as you're stepping into the shot. Is there room above your head? Is there room below your head? Like where is the quote unquote white space where you can go ahead and insert the text, either in a text box or again in like that classic font. I personally am a big fan of white or black font. I don't like doing like all the colors. Maybe you have like an accent word or something that's in a color to kind of draw attention. But I want you to even pay attention like as you're scrolling. Most of the videos are like kind of minimalist in this way. We're not like using like pink text all the time because it's hard to read, right? And so keep it simple. Really, the goal here, especially with B-roll, is that it is easy to read because that is where people are like, that's where you're communicating your message. And so if you have text that is challenging to read because you're doing it in cursive or the text is not enough contrast or there's no text box behind it, you are really going to miss people here. Another thing is I just like would also be mindful of, I wouldn't put a bunch of text over your face. I feel like that's just like not the right vibe. We want people to be able to see your face. And so like take a step back so that way there is room above or below your head to add text, and we don't need to have text covering your entire face. All right, that wraps up today's episode. What I really want you to take away from this is that small upgrades can make a big difference, right? Watch your own content back and ask yourself, like, would this stop my scroll? Would I watch this? Because your visuals matter just as much as your message. This is simple. This is 7-second videos. We don't need to become like a full-on production. You don't need to be filming vlogs. You don't need to make this overly complicated. It should not take you a lot of time. But being intentional and spending the extra 2 or 3 minutes to think about how can I add more movement to this frame? Where should I stand so that way I have the best lighting? Where am I going to put my text on this after I film is really, really, really going to up-level your content and make such a big difference. And I promise this will come a lot more naturally over time too, the more that you practice it. All right. Thank you, my friends. I will see you in the next episode. Today's episode is sponsored by Jane, the best electronic health record I've seen for therapists in private practice. Waiting on hold isn't anyone's idea of time well spent. That's why Jane works hard to keep call wait times to an average of 2 minutes. And they offer unlimited phone, email, and live chat support for all subscription levels. This means that you can get quick answers to any question you have about the Jane platform. Head to the show notes to book a one-on-one demo with Jane. The team will walk you through everything you need to decide if it's the right platform for you. And when you're ready to get started, use the code Kelly2month for a 2-month grace period. Thanks for hanging out with me today. My goal with this podcast is to help as many therapists as possible. So if you found this episode helpful, would you please do me a huge favor and leave a 5-star review wherever you're listening to this? As a thank you, every month I'm gifting one lucky reviewer a free month of done-for-you Reels ideas inside of my Reels membership. I'll see you here next Wednesday and talk to you soon.